Hey guys, welcome back to whatever this is, and whatever this is 20 years of the Nintendo GameCube. So alright guys, we're at that point. It is officially around the time of the 20th anniversary of the GameCube. Whew. I don't typically am that person that feels old, but yeah, 20 years of this console. Easily one of my favorites in my top 3. It was number 1 for the longest time, but it is easily in my top 3. I love the GameCube. Everybody hated it for decades, and now its time has finally risen, and everyone experiences the glory that is the GameCube. As I can distinctly tell you that nobody cared about the GameCube when it was relevant. There was just a handful of people who really loved it. That was like me, and then like 3 other people. And that was it. The GameCube was just kind of like, oh yeah, that existed. Whoo! Did better than the Wii U. But nowadays, everyone views the system in a totally different light, which is awesome, and everyone kind of experiences those kind of weird games Nintendo was making at the time, which is really awesome. And this is a great console. I have 2. I used to have 3. That one burned out. I had 2 black ones, and this silver one that I've had for years. This one is still trucking along, hasn't failed me yet, and I don't think it's going to anytime soon. It is a great little system, really durable, and I love its little box design, little poppy lid. And one of my favorite features was, hey, this played some GBA games for you. So I played Pokemon and Advance Wars on it a lot. It was a great little machine for that. And there's some even more crazier designs with that you can check out at another time. But this system is all about what made it so special. And I think one of the first things that made it so special was just the design of the discs. If you look at the GameCube, those tiny little discs were a factor and a problem for it during its lifetime, but as time kind of went on, it was kind of cool because it made you think of the little powder donuts and always made me a little hungry while playing. But it was a good time, and the games on it were a lot of fun, if not really unique for Nintendo then and even now, just some of the more bizarre games out there. But one of the first bizarre ones I'd love to talk about is Luigi's Mansion. Yes, this was the first game I played on the console, and where I played it was at the place that used to be the card shop I went to. You could rent a table, you could rent the TV that they had there, and you would be able to play for a few minutes or a few hours. And they had the GameCube at launch. I watched them hook it up, and they just looked at me and went, "Do you want to play it?" And I went, "Yeah!" And I got to play it on a 32-inch square TV that they had rear projection with the GameCube, which looked incredible at the time. Probably not so great now, but incredible at the time, and this was the first game I got to play. Obviously couldn't save, didn't have a memory card, but I played Luigi's Mansion first, and I loved it. And then when I got it for Christmas, I was playing this non-stop. I got this and Super Smash Brothers, but I definitely played Luigi's Mansion more. It was a lot of fun, weird game, and it was kind of cool that it took a decade, but it did finally get a sequel, and now a 3rd game, so now it's a trilogy of weirdness. Of one of the reasons why people hated it. They're like, it doesn't have a Mario game at launch. It had Luigi's Mansion. Yes, it wasn't what everyone was expecting, but it was still a fun game. And at least now in hindsight, everyone goes, yeah, it was alright. We got Super Mario Sunshine. So I have so many like weird little oddities with this console. Like, as growing up with it, I was always thought of as that strange kid that didn't play the normal things, because I didn't. I played all the weird stuff that came out on GameCube. And if you've never experienced one, it is one of the cooler devices out there even to this day, because they did a lot of weird stuff. One of the earlier weird things they did was the little Wavebird. I have 2 of these. Even when no one cared about collecting GameCube, these things were actually like holy grail, especially a platinum one. And I managed to find one day. These things are excellent little wireless controllers that even today work perfectly. They are excellent. Anyone with a GameCube collection should get them. I now know there are better options coming out, but Wavebird, if you're collecting, this is a good one to get. And some of the other oddities that it had was actually with the Game Boy Advance. there were quite a few games that would actually link to this. Now, were they any good? It's debatable. There was a lot of cool ideas, like, I'm not a big fan, but Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is one a lot of people reference when using this device. I know it worked really well for that. I used it for Phantasy Star Online a lot for the little downloadables, and I also used it for Animal Crossing because it was actually used in a very unique idea that gave you an island so you could get really unique fruits and stuff for your island, which was awesome. And that was about it. There was a few Game Boy Advance games that linked to it, but nothing like hugely groundbreaking in that idea, but it was kind of a cool, unique little goof thing that Nintendo did. That, again, you would see these ideas get fleshed out later, like this is literally like a Wii U, but using tech of 2001, which might not have been the best idea, but was still really awesome. And one of the more unique things I've picked up for the GameCube, which I do know there's a third party that makes it easier to get, is this little device. If you could ever actually find the Hori pad for this console, this is just a 2D controller for those very few 2D games. This was mainly made for the Game Boy Player. It's an excellent 2D controller. Like, this D-pad is great, and the button layout works perfectly. And yeah, they added the Z button because you did need it. And it was, again, more awesome, cool, weird things that Nintendo was doing at the time. Because in my mind at this time, because Sega died, like, interesting things kind of stopped. But Nintendo was still doing the weird and interesting in a time where a lot of people just wanted, like, nice high-definition graphics, or high definition for the time. But nobody wanted the goofball things anymore. I still love the goofball, which is probably why I love the GameCube so much. Alright, hopefully in this video I have been making some sort of sense, as I didn't really know how to tackle this one, because there's just so much I could talk about with the GameCube and so much I want to get out. So I've decided I'm just going to end on 5 games that I recommend you try in the GameCube library. At first I was trying to think, oh, let's make it reasonably priced, but nothing on the GameCube is reasonably priced anymore. So, I'm just shooting out 5 games that whenever I think GameCube and I want somebody to try something, I recommend these 5. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Great strategy game. This game is incredible. It's a shame it goes for so much. But play it however you are able to do so. I was really hoping that 3DS rumor a few years ago was true, and I kind of still have hope that this may see the light of day. This is an excellent Fire Emblem game that no Fire Emblem fan should miss. Eternal Darkness. This game scared the ever-loving pants off of me. I still remember this is one of the few games that made me kind of scream in a room full of other men screaming my butt off at something that happens immediately when you start the game and on the second story. So, if you guys haven't played it and you're into horror games, this is, hands down, one of the best and scariest games, especially with that sanity meter, as it's still one of the most unique things I've ever seen in a horror game. Super Mario Sunshine. Yes, it's part of the Mario 35 or the Mario collection that just came out. I would easily recommend it. Check it out. Play it by any means you can. If you do have a Switch, there's a patch that you can allow yourself to use that GameCube controller, and honestly, it does make the game a lot better because the analog controls really help with the triggers. Tales of Symphonia. One of the very few RPGs on this console, but easily one of the best, and this is still the best version. Yes, there is the PlayStation 3 and PC versions of Tales of Symphonia HD. I'll say this with an asterisk. If you have the PC version, it runs at 40 frames a second, which does help. This game runs at 60 on the GameCube, but they based the HD version on the Japanese PS2 version, which kind of ran at 30 and felt really sluggish and slow, and I kind of felt like I was underwater. But if you can play the original GameCube, this runs 60 frames, gorgeous game. I would easily recommend this game to anyone trying out the GameCube library. And yes, it's time to talk about easily the biggest game in the GameCube library, Resident Evil 4. Yes, it's been on everything, but this is where it started. This is where they said it was only going to be on GameCube. That may have been a lie. But excellent game, great shooter, still plays well today. I'm sure you've played it. I've played it multiple times, and I will continue to play it multiple times because the GameCube had just that good of games that stand the test of time. But anyways, guys, it has been 20 years of the Nintendo GameCube. One of my favorite systems. I have collected for this game for years. I have collected for this console for years. And I'm kind of at the point where I have to stop, as it's just getting too expensive out there. But if you guys are able to try any of these games, I strongly recommend easily these 5 being some of the first ones you should try out. Maybe I'll do a sequel to this video on other things GameCube fans should try out, or other cool things that I find. But that's it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed yourself watching this video. So anyways, take care, have a good one, and always wear a mask and get vaccinated when you can. Have a good one.